Okay, we are live and we already have lots of folks joining us. Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. We already have, wow, look at so many people joining us. Hello.
Already at 40.
We're so happy that you've joined us today. Since we only opened it up about 1 minute to 3, I think we're gonna give it probably a solid 2 or 3 minutes just to let folks trickle in. We understand that obviously you'll have class schedules and activities and clubs and jobs that you're all working around. So we'll give it a minute before we officially sort of kick off with the presentation, but we will do that shortly. So this is a great time to open up a doc on your computer to copy and paste or jot down a link, grab a drink of water, snack, all that good stuff, because we will be here for probably another 2 minutes before we officially kick her off. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Feeling good.
Spring, summer, OSAP. Important topic. We're happy. We actually saw a lot of interest in this session from current students, which is just really great. We're happy that we can, hopefully save all of you a trip to the service hub, right, and get you the information right up front, so there's no questions, and we'll certainly go through sort of the formatting of the webinar before we officially get started. Ooh, participation numbers are still climbing, which is fabulous. We have just about 70 students online with us right now, which is great. Got your water?
Got my water.
We're ready. And I also, of course, I'll go over this when we start as well, but I also want to give a shout out to Christine and Brett, who are here and ready on the back end for your questions. You can't see them necessarily, but they're there and they're ready and they're experts. So we thank them also for lending their time. Okay. Okay. I think we should kick her off. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to pause briefly and then we'll sort of kick her off, I guess, officially, which is where the recorded session will begin. So remember, you'll get a recorded session over email. It'll be linked to it tomorrow, about 24 hours from now. Okay. So hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. It's currently about 3:00 p.m. on Monday, March 9th. We're having beautiful weather. I hope everyone's enjoying it. My name is Kelly, and I work in the registrar's office in the communications department. I'm really just a facilitator today, though, helping to put on this webinar for all of you folks. The real star of the show, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca Marishow, and I'm the coordinator of student financial assistance here at Ryerson University.
Fantastic. So we are talking about spring summer OSAP today, obviously a very popular topic amongst our students, and we have a really full presentation ready for you. It's very comprehensive. So thank you to Bianca and the whole student financial assistance team for putting that together. A few quick pointers about Zoom, because that's my wheelhouse, before I punt it over to the folks who are experts on OSAP. You made it. We're here in Zoom. That's fantastic. We're happy to see you, or not see you. We can see your name. We can't see you. I would just like to point out that you can adjust your screen as you wish in Zoom. So many students like to enlarge the PowerPoint presentation, perhaps for accessibility purposes. Many students like to be able to see us and read our lips, whatever it may be. You can adjust your own screen however you wish, and that doesn't affect anyone else's view, so please feel free to do that. Sometimes the PowerPoint can be cut off in certain directions on certain types of devices and certain views, so feel free to experiment and do what works for you. Second of all, please ask questions today. We have two fabulous student financial assistance advisors on our back end as panelists. You may be able to see their names on your screen. We have Brett and Christine, who are here with us, and they are sort of the silent heroes of the day. I always like to say you can't necessarily see them or hear them, but they're absolutely here to support you. So if you have any questions at all, I want you to hover your mouse over the bottom of your screen. You should see what looks like a stack of little file folders with Q&A underneath. You can click on that, open it up, and then you can type your questions for us. I will say, please Please note that we can't answer really specific questions during today's session. So if you have a specific case with OSAP, that's really better handled at our service hub, both because we can look into your file and also it can just be a bit more private. Speaking of privacy though, if you do have something that is a general question, maybe you just don't want to submit in front of other students, you can check the box that says submit anonymously or submit privately on your question and answer button. That means that we don't see your name and we can also respond to you privately if we feel like that is appropriate. If you do not submit privately, when we answer your question, it'll actually flip over into the answered column on the Q&A box. Before you ask a question, I'd like to really, really advise that you actually scroll through the questions that have already been answered. In sessions like this, and just about every webinar we host, there's often repeated questions, right? I'm thinking about, what is the deadline, right? Things like that. So I do recommend that you scroll through those answered questions before you type your own, just to see if maybe we can save you the trouble of you asking it and us pointing you to another resource. I will also say that you will not get the Q&A transcript with the recording. So if you do get an answer to a question that is just exactly what you were looking for, which I'm sure you will, make sure to, again, copy it onto your computer, make a little note on a sticky, jot it down on your phone, whatever it may be, so you have that information for later. Very last thing I will say is if you're having video or audio issues today, please type us a question through the Q&A. A lot of folks like to use the raised hand feature of Zoom, and while that's wonderful, and I always like to sort of wave back, it doesn't tell us what your issue is, which means we can't exactly troubleshoot with you. So if you're having an issue, please type it in, say, I can't see you, I can't hear you, whatever it is, and we'll do our best to make it work. Also, just a reminder, you'll receive this recording tomorrow over email to the email address you used to sign up for this webinar, probably your Ryerson email, but just checking. And also all of the links that are linked in this presentation, you may not be able to click directly on the screen, but they will all be included in the follow-up email. As well, most of them are accessible by a simple Google search, so that's always a pro tip as well. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. Okay, that was more than enough from me, but I always like to set the parameters so you know what the deal is. I am going to pass it off to the expert. Please welcome the lovely Bianca.
Thank you, Kelly. And once again, hello, everyone. For folks that are newly tuning in, I'll introduce myself again. So my name is Bianca Maryshow, and I am the coordinator of student financial assistance here at Ryerson University. And I'm so excited that you're joining us here today for this presentation on all you need to know about spring summer OSAP. We'll get started with an agenda. We have a jam-packed webinar for you so that you can really hit the ground running in knowing what is required of you for spring summer OSAP. So we're gonna get started with full-time OSAP eligibility. So we'll go over how to apply, the difference between an extension form versus creating a brand new OSAP application. We'll go over the application process, and I'll give you some important reminders and notes about course load and funding disbursement as it relates to full-time OSAP. Then we'll do the same for part-time OSAP. We'll look at how to apply, we'll go over the application process, and again, I'll give you some important notes and reminders about course load and funding disbursement. Then we'll pivot over to communications, so you can know exactly how student financial assistance will be communicating with you throughout your application process. We'll also go over deadline dates, and then we'll finish up with our question and answer period. So let's jump in. So let's get started with just understanding a little bit of terminology, because throughout this presentation, I will be using terms like full-time and part-time quite often. And I do want to let you folks know that for OSAP purposes, what is considered full-time and part-time is very different from what Ryerson considers full-time and part-time. So if you're thinking of taking classes in spring summer, you would be considered a full-time OSAP student if you are taking 3 or more courses. If you are a student with a permanent disability, you will be considered full-time if you are taking 2 or more courses. For part-time, you are considered a part-time OSAP student if you are taking 2 or fewer courses. If you are a student with a permanent disability, then taking 1 course will make you eligible for part-time OSAP. So we'll get started with full-time OSAP eligibility. So, full-time spring summer OSAP, extension versus brand new OSAP application. So if you are a student returning to full-time studies in the spring summer term, you are going to be completing what is called a full-time spring summer OSAP extension, which is available on our website, ryerson.ca/SFA. When you go onto that website, under the toolbar for OSAP, you hover over it, you'll see another link for spring summer. Click that and that will bring you to that screenshot you see on the screen right here, spring summer OSAP, with that lovely arrow pointing to the full-time spring summer OSAP extension form. Now, if you are a student who did not receive full-time OSAP funding during the fall 2019 and or the winter 2020 semester, you will actually be submitting a brand new full-time OSAP application. So the extension form is really just for folks who have already received full-time OSAP during either fall 2019 and or the winter 2020 semester. They will be submitting an extension form because we are extending their OSAP application that already exists. But if you did not receive full-time OSAP funding during fall 2019 or winter 2020 semester, please create a brand new full-time OSAP application on the OSAP website, ontario.ca/OSAP. So when you click that link, right now it's not yet available, but you will eventually see this 2020 Spring Summer OSAP Extension Request Form. Now this form takes less than 5 minutes to complete, and it will launch this Thursday, March 12th at 12 p.m. So for those folks who already have that existing fall 2019 and or winter 2020 full-time OSAP application, come this Thursday, March 12th at 12 p.m., please click that spring summer extension form and fill out this lovely extension form request so that we can get started on processing your full-time OSAP application for spring summer. On the topic of processing a full-time spring summer OSAP extension, a lot of work goes into that. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of your responsibilities and our Student Financial Assistance Department's responsibilities as well. So if you are going the extension request route, the first thing you'll do is that you will submit, of course, your spring summer OSAP extension form. Once you do that, our Student Financial Assistance Office, short form known as SFA, will verify that you received full-time OSAP funding in the fall 2019 and or the winter 2020 semester. If you have, we will then verify your course enrollment, and we will add a spring and or summer study period to your existing 2019-2020 full-time OSAP application. And we're verifying that course enrollment by looking at your RAMs. So it's very, very important that your RAMs is showing the courses that you intend to take in the spring or the summer session, because we will be using your RAMs to ensure that you're enrolled in those courses, and so we can move forward with the processing of your OSAP application. Once we verify that course enrollment and we add that spring summer study period to your existing full-time OSAP application, we will then update your full-time OSAP application to update the unique costs of your courses at the time of assessment. Now, I really want to stress that we're updating to reflect the unique costs of your courses at the time of assessment. So it's very important that you're not making changes. You should really be submitting that extension request form when you finalize your courses. And we'll go into that in a couple more slides. The fifth step is around the first week of classes. Student Financial Assistance will verify that you did not make adjustments to your courses. And if all is well, then finally, we will confirm your enrollment and release your funds. Now let's talk about what the process looks like for folks submitting a brand new full-time OSAP application for spring summer. So they're creating a brand new application. They don't already have an existing one. So first thing, of course, you will submit a spring summer full-time OSAP application on the website ontario.ca/OSAP. Then we will verify your course enrollment for spring summer. Again, we're verifying course enrollment by looking at the courses that you have elected to take, showing on your RAMS account. We will then update your application to reflect the unique cost of your courses at the time of assessment. So again, please try not to make too many adjustments to your application. Really submit that application once you finalize your courses. And then around the first week of class, SFA will verify that you did not make adjustments to your courses. And if all is well, we'll confirm your enrollment and release your funds. So let's talk a little bit about some important course load reminders before applying for full-time spring summer. Whether you're applying for the extension or applying for the brand new full-time OSAP application, I really wanted to put this slide in so that you folks know upfront about some course load restrictions. So For the students who are going to be submitting a brand new full-time OSAP application on the OSAP website, ontario.ca/OSAP, please note that you must be in 12 or more weeks of study in order to submit a brand new full-time OSAP application. It's also important that you finalize your course load before you submit either your full-time spring-summer OSAP extension or your brand new full-time OSAP application. Changes to your courses may cause delays in processing. Spring-summer is very different from fall-winter. It's a lot more of a manual process. So when you make a lot of changes to your course load, we have to go in and adjust the information that you've already submitted, and that will further delays and, in theory, further the funding from being dispersed to you folks as well. And we don't want that. We want to get funding to you on time. And most importantly, please note, intensive courses do not count toward course load calculation. So intensive courses are those courses that are hyper condensed. They might be 1 week or 2 weeks in delivery. Those courses, while they may not count towards course load calculation, what we will do at our Student Financial Assistance Office is that we will still take the cost of those intensive courses and we will add it into your funding assessment so that you can still be considered for funding for those courses. So, for example, if you are taking 3 courses, 2 of which, let's say, are spring courses, and then 1 is an intensive course, you're still only taking 2 courses, even though you're in 2 courses and 1 intensive. The reason why is, like I said, the intensive course does not count towards course load calculation. So if that is something that you're thinking of, if you fall into that situation, know that those 2 courses means that you would be submitting a part-time OSAP application, but we will do our part and we will add the cost of the intensive course onto your assessment so you can still be considered for funding. Now, let's do some important funding reminders before applying for full-time spring-summer OSAP. So very important to note, OSAP funding will not be released before your classes start. So what that means is that if you are registering for Chang School courses prior to the start of your classes, you are responsible for covering any late fee charges that may occur. So for example, just the last week, the enrollment for Chang School went live and a lot of folks eagerly started enrolling in their courses. Just note that OSAP funding will not release until your classes actually start. So any late fees that you incur from the time that you've enrolled in those courses to the time that those classes start will be your responsibility. Also, very important to be mindful of the deadline dates. Spring summer is a very, very, very quick semester and deadline dates creep up on you very fast. So it's important that you are paying attention to the deadline dates and adhering to them. Deadline dates are strictly enforced and ministry set, so they are non-negotiable. And we'll go over where you can find the deadline dates towards the end of this presentation. Then, very important for processing timelines, please allow 3 to 6 weeks from the date of submission for processing of your application. So that means whenever you submit your extension form or your full-time OSAP application or your part-time OSAP application, you can start counting 3 to 6 weeks from that date, and our office will strive to maintain that 3 to 6 week processing time and follow up with you within that timeline. And in the unlikely event that the 6 weeks surpasses, feel free to follow up with us. Very important, if you are taking full-time spring-summer OSAP funding and you either drop to a part-time course load or you withdraw after we release your funding, you may be at risk of being placed on OSAP academic probation. So very important that you are committing to these courses and you're staying enrolled in it. And if for whatever reason you drop to a part-time course load or you need to withdraw, we kindly ask that you touch base with our department first so we can let you know what the impacts will look like from an OSAP perspective. And more details are available on our OSAP website. Like Kelly said at the beginning, there are hyperlinks in this presentation, and while you cannot press them right now, when the presentation is sent to your email about 24 hours from now, you'll be able to click all the links. So that's it for full-time OSAP. Let's talk about part-time OSAP eligibility. Now, part-time spring-summer OSAP. This is for folks that are thinking of taking that part-time course load during the spring-summer term. And I'll just remind you, part-time for OSAP purposes means that you are taking 2 or fewer courses, or if you're a student with a permanent disability, 1 course will be considered part-time OSAP. Now, what you will do for folks taking part-time spring-summer OSAP is that you will complete a brand new part-time OSAP application on the OSAP website, which is once again, ontario.ca/OSAP. Now note, you still need to submit a brand new part-time OSAP application, even if you received full-time or part-time OSAP for fall 2019 and or the winter 2020 semester. Why, you may ask? Part-time OSAP is looked at on a per semester basis. So even if you received funding in the fall or the winter, be it full-time or part-time, if you're electing to come into part-time course load for OSAP and you'd like to receive OSAP funding for that, you need to submit a brand new application for the spring-summer term. So this is what it looks like on the OSAP website when you log in. So once you log in, or if you don't already have an existing OSAP account, you can register for one on that same OSAP website. You log in, and this is the landing page that you'll see. You see full-time OSAP, apply for part-time OSAP, the interest-free status. For those folks that are interested in part-time OSAP, you're going to click where that beautiful yellow button is pointing to under part-time application, apply for OSAP. And just follow the steps outlined and you will complete that application. Now let's talk about the processing that goes on behind the scenes for part-time spring-summer OSAP applications. So it all starts with you. You gotta first submit that spring-summer part-time OSAP application, again, by logging on to the OSAP website, ontario.ca/OSAP, and following the steps as outlined. Once you submit that application, our Student Financial Assistance Office will verify your course enrollment for spring-summer. And again, we verify course enrollment by looking at the courses that you're electing to take on ramps. We will then update your application to reflect the unique cost of your courses at the time of assessment. So please don't make any changes to your course enrollment, because if you do, again, there will be some processing delays. Around the first week of class, our department will then verify that you did not make adjustments to your courses, and if all is well, Student Financial Assistance will confirm your enrollment and release your funds. Now I want to do some important course load reminders before applying for part-time OSAP. So very important that you're finalizing that course load before submitting the part-time OSAP application at ontario.ca/OSAP. Changes to courses may cause delays in processing, and we want to get that funding to you on time as quick as possible. So really commit to those courses, and once you have, submit your part-time OSAP application for our review. Again, intensive courses do not count toward course load calculation. So I'll go over this again. Intensive courses are those very condensed courses, often 1 or 2 weeks in format. And while they do not count towards course load calculation, we will take the cost of the intensive course and add it onto your spring-summer OSAP assessment. So for example, if you are taking, let's say, 1 intensive course and 1 spring-summer course, you're really only taking, in the eyes of OSAP, 1 course. So you'll be applying for that part-time OSAP application. And what we will do is that we will take the cost of the intensive course and add it onto the cost of that spring-summer course. So that way, at least you're still being assessed for funding for the cost of both courses. So while the intensive course may not count towards the course load calculation, we'll help you out by adding the cost of the intensive course to your assessment. Now, some important funding reminders before applying for part-time OSAP. Now, just like full-time, funds will not be released before your classes start. So, if you're registering for Chang School courses prior to the start of your classes, please note that you are responsible for covering any late fee charges that you may incur. Again, be mindful of the deadline dates, which we'll go over a couple slides from now. Important to allow 3 to 6 weeks from your date of submission for processing. So just like our full-time OSAP folks, from the date that you submit your part-time OSAP application and all of your required documents, you can count up to 6 weeks from that date. We will communicate with you within that 3 to 6 week turnaround. We're really striving to stay committed to that 3 to 6 week processing time. And in the unlikely event that we go over that 6 weeks, please feel free to touch base with us through the Service Hub, and we'll take a look. Now, very important for part-time OSAP folks, please listen carefully. My part-time OSAP friends, if you drop a course or courses after we release your funding, you will need to self-fund 1 semester if you reapply for part-time OSAP funding in the future. Okay, so let's talk about that. So let's say you enrolled in RAMS for 2 courses, and we've funded you, we've provided you OSAP funding for 2 courses. And then let's say you drop to 1 course, or you completely withdraw. Well, what ends up happening is if you're thinking of coming back in the fall semester for part-time OSAP, you're going to actually need to self-fund. You will not be able to access that part-time OSAP funding. And that's not just to say only if you're thinking of coming back in fall semester. It's the next time that you elect to participate in the part-time OSAP program, be it upcoming fall semester, upcoming winter semester, even a year later. You have to self-fund for 1 semester if you drop course or if you completely withdraw. So again, very, very important that before you are making these decisions on changing your course load and dropping courses especially, please touch base with our Student Financial Assistance Office through the Service Hub, and we'll help you understand and navigate what the best outcome and option is for you and what the consequences of each choice will be. And there are more details available on our website. Now let's talk communications. Very, very important. Your OSAP portal is your best friend. So it's very important that you're checking your OSAP portal regularly because it will contain information on your application status, your funding breakdown and assessment, but most importantly, messages from OSAP or our Student Financial Assistance team will go through your OSAP portal. So I want to make it very clear. OSAP portal has a message center. So we will be sending messages through your OSAP portal message center. So it's very important that just as often as you're checking social media, you're checking your OSAP portal regularly, especially that message center, to see if anything is outstanding. So message center, OSAP portal message center, very important. We will not be communicating through the Ryerson email. It's going through that OSAP message center. Now let's quickly talk spring, summer OSAP deadline dates. So there's quite a few. Deadline dates for the full-time OSAP extension and the part-time OSAP application will depend on when your courses end. I'm going to say that one more time. The deadline dates for full-time OSAP extensions and part-time OSAP applications will depend on when your courses end. So the screenshot you're seeing on the screen here is right from our website, ryerson.ca/SFA. In the toolbar at the top where it says OSAP, hover over it. You'll see a drop-down menu, click Spring Summer, and when you get to that landing page, just scroll down to the bottom and you'll look at exactly what you're seeing on the screenshot of this screen here, which is the deadline dates. So we've broken it up by application type. So if you're doing the extension form for full-time versus the part-time application, in the center column, we have the details, and then most importantly, in the far right column, we have the deadline dates. So like I said, your deadline date will depend on when your courses end. So pay close attention, especially to that details column, because there's deadline dates for folks whose courses end in June, folks whose courses end in July, and folks whose courses end in August. So please, please, please make sure you are paying close attention to those deadline dates and that you're adhering to them. Because like I said, deadline dates are ministry set, strictly enforced. Unfortunately, they are non-negotiable. So please do your part, be proactive, check out the deadline dates, and if you have any questions, make sure you're touching base with our Student Financial Assistance Department through the Service Hub so we can help you navigate. And that's it, that's all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was a very informative webinar for you folks, all about spring, summer OSAP. You can ask your questions now. I know folks have already been asking their questions throughout the webinar. I can hear Christine and Brett ferociously typing, so many thanks to them. But if you have any more questions, you're also welcome to contact our Student Financial Assistance Department through the Service Hub, by phone, at 416-979-5036 or in person on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'll just plug our website one more time. You can check out our lovely student financial assistance website at ryerson.ca/SFA. As a reminder, we will be online for about the next 40 minutes up until about 4 p.m. to answer your questions. Like Kelly said, you can ask them anonymously, or you can ask it just generally so folks can see. But that's it for the webinar piece. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope it was informative, and let's answer some questions. We'll welcome back Kelly as well.
Hello, everyone. Huge thanks to Bianca for absolutely running through that really comprehensive presentation like a champion. So much good information there. And I know I said it earlier too, Brett and Christine are absolutely the silent heroes today. So far, I think they've answered about 70 questions from you all between the two of them. So they are working very hard and not even looking up because they're still answering your questions. So they're absolute pros. So huge thanks to them for being on the back end. As Bianca has mentioned, you will receive a copy of this recorded webinar over email tomorrow. Check the email you used to register for the webinar, probably your Ryerson email. You will get the recorded session. There will be an audio transcript. You will not get the Q&A transcript, so make sure to jot down any notes and answers you get on some other resource, but you will get all of the links that were included in the presentation. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Bianca. Thank you to Brett and Christine. Thank you to everyone on the back end and the SFA team that also contributed to the presentation. We really hope this has been helpful. I'm sure it has been. So what's going to happen now effectively is we are going to turn off our video and our audio. So you're still going to see this screen with our contact info. We're still going to be here answering your questions, but you're not going to see us or hear us anymore. So I can see that lots of questions are flooding in, which is fabulous. Christine and Brett are still typing away. So thanks for being here. And yeah, you've got definitely some more time to ask those questions. And then after that, you can always get us on the phone or the service hub. Thanks so much for joining us. We will talk to you via text from now on. Bye now.